Hello everyone, and welcome back to a new video. So today we are going to be doing a study of hands for the new year. I'm very excited to share this with you all as I'm using one of my favorite websites, which is Line of Action. I'm going to be using the 6B pencil default in Procreate. And Line of Action, I'm not sponsored by the way, is just a really useful website if you'd like to practice poses, hands, backgrounds, stuff like that, just in general. And I thought the best way to start off the new year is to get into new habits. As you all know, it's usually a tradition, at least in the US, to make resolutions and to be thankful for stuff, and to also start improving and having new habits. And so for my new habit, I'm going to be doing a study. I decided that I would do some 2-minute gesture drawings of doing some hand poses, and I just clicked the tab on Line of Action. I chose hands, and I just kind of set my parameters as I wanted them to be. But I'm just drawing a bunch of hands, and we're going to kind of speed through them. This one is probably my favorite set of hands. I don't know, just the way they flow makes them see so handy, you know, like no pun intended. I just really like it, and I think this hand turned out great. The previous hand was kind of funky, but I like the flow of it a lot, so I'm not really mad at that either. I enjoy drawing hands. Unlike many artists, I think they're actually kind of fun, and as much as I don't draw super complicated hand poses, it's always really useful to build up your virtual library, which is basically in your mind you have a set of poses that you've practiced so that when you need to tap into that little library and retrieve those poses again, you're able to do it without using a reference. Now, obviously this takes a ton of practice, and I still need to do said practice, and everyone does. It's good to refresh on the basics and fundamentals in order to work on things all the time. So for these hands, I am mostly trying to break them down in terms of shape and form. I'm trying to figure out what makes the hands be more specific or more general. Usually for my process when I do studies, I like to do 2 steps. Number 1, define the main shape, and number 2, go from general to specific. So the first one is defining the main shape. As you've seen with some of these hands, I usually start off with sort of a rounded rectangle, sometimes a circle, just a general angle that I need in order to give me a basis for drawing hands. Then I like to go general to specific. I lay out the base shapes, and then I start to refine them. If you struggle with finding shapes in your art, the best thing I can suggest is to find something specific in your reference that you feel like you could piece the rest of your reference together with too. So for this hand, the basis of it was the angle of the knuckles, and how I noticed it was sort of tilted toward the viewer. That was my basis point for drawing all of the fingers, and how I ended up really liking this hand. I do studies somewhat often, usually in my sketchbook, but I thought for this time I'd do it digitally, and I've done a few other studies on my iPad as well, so if you'd like to see those, I'll leave them linked in the description. And overall, I really enjoyed drawing these hands. I thought it would be a good start to 2024, and I hope that you all are having a good New Year's as well. I hope you are able to party with friends or family, or you were just able to sort of hang out and relax for the first few days and just really enjoy the time off. I think setting art goals like drawing hands, clothing, flowers are something I do kind of every year, and I think it's fundamental that all artists set goals for themselves so that way they have something they're sort of working towards. In art, you're always learning. In fact, in every field, you're always learning. And it's always good to build up on the things you already know or already feel like you can draw, because it's just fun to experiment sometimes. I will definitely be doing more hand studies in the future, because as much as I do like these, drawing likeness is something that I'm still continuing to practice and do. And overall, it's just really fun. I really like the hands that were sort of gripping things, like this guy holding his neck, and the hand is sort of wrapped around. And then I also like the cup photo and the shoelaces from the other photos. This is going to be my last hand here before I sort of decorate the spread. I don't usually decorate the spreads when I do studies, unless it's, well, in my sketchbook, I tend to add a touch of color to my favorite ones. But for this digital one, just to spice it up, I wanted to add a grid in the background and sort of highlight the sketches in white. Overall, I think it's just really handy, again with that pun, to make sure that we're always constantly improving as artists. And it's always good to simplify things, to find your style, what shapes you enjoy drawing, and which ones actually make something look like the thing you're looking for. And don't mind me scrolling through Procreate's endless library to find a single grid brush. It's a really great brush though. And as I was saying, I think it's really important to sort of build up that library and to make sure you have all of these poses in hand. So that way, when I do more finished pieces in the future, I have these sort of hand poses to rely back on, to reference, to just sort of have in the back. I think I'll definitely do some bigger finished pieces this year, and I will love to take you all along for the ride. And I think doing studies like this from time to time would be super fun. If I can do these as ASMRs or just longer video contents, I'd also like to do that, as I think it could be really fun. I hope you all enjoyed this video, and what are your New Year's plans? I'm super excited to see what you all have in store, and I hope you continue to support me over these next year and years. Please continue to follow me on all of my social medias, and I will see you in the next video. Bye-bye!